Welcome to today's episode of the Sports Generals here on the So What's the Catch Facebook page. Jay will be joining us shortly. He's just experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties right now. But, Bryan, I don't think I can remember an NFL offseason ever being this crazy. You know how they have the saying about New York City being the city that never sleeps?
This is the off season that never sleeps.
Yes. Well, actually, what I was going for was the NFL is the league that never sleeps. I'll take that tip.
Yeah, that's true. No, the NFL season is never over. It's definitely the king in this country in terms of the major sports. So, yeah, there's definitely been plenty to talk about in terms of the NFL, even though games haven't been happening for quite some time now.
Yeah, the season.
Like I said, at the end of the season starts when the season ends. So
Yeah,
24/7, 7 days a week with this thing.
Yeah,
you're absolutely correct.
yeah. I mean, there's so many moves to talk about. Like, I don't even know where to start.
Let's start with the most recent. We'll do Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins.
Okay. I'm confused about. I have one accusation to throw out there because of this move, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
What do you mean?
He took, because of the massive contract that he took, getting, I think it was $500 million, if I remember correctly. It's forced the Chiefs to like almost have their hands tied behind their back. They can't go out and sign all these great players that make their team who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a team-friendly deal, though. It was a 10-year, $400 million plus deal, but it was like laced on the back end where the bulk of the money was going to be paid out, which give the team flexibility to make adjustments. But again, once you get out your rookie contract and you got to pay a quarterback big time money, the team's going to struggle to try to move this to pay John and to pay Bill the fees. So there's a lot of juggling these teams have to do because them deals, once they get out those rookie contracts, there's no flexibility at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. And quarterbacks, they're always going to demand the most amount of money. So, you're kind of right, Josh. Their hands are kind of tied because obviously you have to pay Patrick Mahomes, after him winning your franchise Super Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, you got to pay the man, but it also does make the salary cap, things get a little tighter when you have a little bit less money to work with. So, yeah, it's not surprising to me. But yeah, they got quite a haul for him. They got about as much as you could ever get for a wide receiver for they got 5 picks, 2 in the first round. So
right.
Yeah, I mean 5 picks is a lot for a wide receiver, especially in a draft that is, wide receiver heavy. Teams could have, took one of those guys in the draft, but for them to opt to give away 5 picks for Tyreek Hill, I mean, they really went hard.
Yeah. Now
and the emergence of Waddle, like they already had a wide receiver in the making. It's just kind of head scratching.
All the pressure is now on Tua Tagovailoa. There's no way around it. Like, you got Jalen Waddle, who is an emerging wide receiver. You got Tyreek Hill. They went out and got Cedric Wilson, receiver from the Cowboys.
They sure did.
They improved their offensive line because they got Teron Armstead from New Orleans as a free agent from the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
They have Mike Gesicki, who I wouldn't say he's a top 2 receiver, but he's one of the better tight ends in the league. So Tua's got essentially everything he needs. It's all on him now.
It is. No excuses. Like, you have, just like how Baker was here, you have all of the pieces to be successful with this offense that's now been installed with the Dolphins. So the decision-making business that's ended after this last move with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tagovailoa has to be the guy too because they don't have Brissett backing him up anymore. He found himself in Cleveland. So yeah, not having Jacoby Brissett behind them, he's the guy. You know, they're all in. And Josh, you're absolutely right. He has all of the weapons around him. I mean, at every skill position on offense, they've got playmakers. You know, tight end, wide receivers, running backs. So yeah, I mean, he's not going to have any excuses. And the Dolphins are definitely going all in. They're spending like a team that's on the verge of a Super Bowl, which I don't think they're quite there yet. But
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they were willing to give up quite a bit to bring Tyreek Hill to town. So they must really see something in him. And it's going to be interesting having him and Waddle on the field together just because they're very similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas usually with the wide receivers, you know, you usually have one guy who's like a first down guy who's, you know, tall, lanky, you know, maybe not as fast, but a possession receiver. And then
I think they view Devontae Parker as that.
Yeah, the veteran presence, know how to run his routes good.
Right. And then you've got these two guys who are kind of slashers, these slot receivers who, you know, the double moves and that'll burn you downfield. So, the problem is with Tagovailoa is that these guys are so quick. I don't know if he's got the arm to get it down the field to them in time.
Right.
He's definitely weak in that department. He's very accurate. I'll give him that. But he's got a noodle for an arm. Let's be
real delicate arm. Accuracy is good, but as far as throwing those 55-yard bombs that Tyreek Hill is accustomed to,
right,
that's not going to happen.
Right. I bet you in a year or so, Tyreek's going to be like, why did I leave Kansas City?
Well, I'll tell you why. Hey, $72 million guaranteed, and you're in Miami. I could see why he went in that direction.
Okay, yeah. That's a fair argument, but it's like, okay, I left Patrick Mahomes for this?
Yeah. And it's any quarterback that he plays for now, he's going to see, I had it good with him. It's not fair to put that type of pressure on any of these quarterbacks because they're not going to be Patrick Mahomes. So,
right. I think we're going to find out not if Patrick Mahomes was as good as he is, because I think we all agree that he's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Arguably,
he's proven himself, I think.
Right, but I think what we are going to find out, however, is did Tyreek Hill make Patrick Mahomes, or was it Patrick Mahomes that made Tyreek Hill? If that makes sense.
Yeah. And what's going to happen with Kelsey now? You know, now he's about to get all triple coverage now. So,
you know what? It reminds me of, guys. It reminds me a little bit of when the Browns brought a guy to town named Odell Beckham Jr.
I heard of him. Yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, it was a big splash signing, and we were talking about a team that had all these offensive weapons, and we were talking the same way about Baker Mayfield that we are about Tua. So Tua is in the same exact damn spot that Baker found himself in.
Except for he's less fragile. I mean, he a hit away from his career ending now.
You saw how things shook out for Baker, so the pressure is on for Tua.
Speaking of that, do you think there's a chance? I know the Dolphins just gave up like 5 draft picks, but do you think there's a possibility Baker could possibly get traded down to Miami to be with the Dolphins?
What they're giving up, I would love to get into their garage sale. So, I mean, if y'all want to give us 2 twos, I'm for it.
I mean, we're going to have to take what we can get for Baker at this point. I don't know if we could trade him for a bag of balls. I mean, nobody wants the guy. But here's the thing about the Miami trade, Josh. Here's why I don't think it would happen. Because we've already got Brissett from Miami, and I feel like he would have been that would have been something they would have already did in that move. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they would obviously be quarterback for quarterback in that deal. So
yeah,
but
that was just a regular free agent sign.
Oh, you know what? That's right. We didn't have to trade for him.
No,
that's right. Yeah, it's an interesting situation that Tua finds himself in, but this is a prove it year for him.
Oh, 100%.
He does not have any excuses.
No, and he's already the 3rd best quarterback in that draft because. You look at Justin Herbert, he's blowing it up with the Chargers, and if it hadn't been for some boneheaded decisions by Brandon Staley, the Chargers would have made the damn playoffs last year.
Easily.
And then in his 2nd year in the league, Joe Burrow leads the Bengals to the Super Bowl. There you go.
Yeah, he finds himself comfortably in third place behind those guys.
Yes. So I guess going back a couple days, we had another big wide receiver trade. Devontae Adams is joining up with his best friend and former Fresno State teammate, Derek Carr.
Yes.
I don't know.
AFC West.
2 draft picks for him.
Yeah, I know they're friends. I know that they played together, but I don't know if they would call themselves best friends. But
You know how they do in the media, though.
Yeah.
Your new best friend, the sidekicks, and Batman's and Robins. Yeah, but AFC West again. While Kansas City is losing pieces, everybody else around them is gaining pieces, and it just seemed like we're starting to see a changing of the guard in that division for sure.
People are already predicting that the Chargers are going to win that division now.
I can see it, man.
That.
They're gonna beat each other up, and I'm gonna love every minute of it.
Hey, I mean, the AFC North isn't out of the woods with that either, because for God's sakes, now that division is Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson.
Yes, sir.
And then Mitch Trubisky. Sorry, Steelers fans, but that's the way it is.
And you know, there's a report that the moment that we cut Baker, if we do, Steelers is gonna pounce all over him.
I saw that.
I would love that actually, because
me too.
You know,
we also know that Myles Garrett. Oh, God.
He's gonna hurt that little guy.
Oh,
What would suck though is if Mike Tomlin gets a hold of Baker, somehow turns him into some good quarterback, and he goes on to haunt us for like years. That always seems to happen when guys leave Cleveland.
It's not going to happen with Baker because he sucks.
Yeah. The film says it. But yes, it's that Browns fan insecurity that, you know, in back of my head, I'm like, man, if he go to Steelers and become a Hall of Famer, I don't know what I'm going to do. But,
I will say if there's anybody who can get that out of Baker, it's Mike Tomlin. You know, we saw what he's done with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he took a guy out of Miami, Ohio from a non-Power 5 school and turned him into a Hall of Famer. Won 2 Super Bowls.
And he had a challenge background too. A lot of off the field allegations and stuff that followed him. So
if anybody could do it, it's Tomlin. But if anything, I think they're probably looking at him as a backup. And I don't know if Baker's come to the realization yet that he's probably not going to be a starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
I could see making him a starting quarterback would be possibly the Seahawks if they trade for him.
Yeah. And they just said they don't want him, I believe.
I did not see that. I saw that the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, the Panthers did. I'm sorry. Yep, Panthers.
I love that. The Panthers were out on Baker, and so Baker's team comes out and says, oh, well, we weren't interested in the Panthers either. So it's like, oh, come on, dude.
We come expect this from him.
Right. It's predictable now.
Yeah, the moment Matt Ryan was traded from Atlanta to Indianapolis, it was like Baker was like, well, shit, I have nowhere now because he was dead set on going to the Colts.
Yeah, they made a move immediately. Like, no, thank you, Baker, but we'll take Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan makes them dangerous too, man, on the low.
You're right. Hey, the Colts are on the verge of something special too down there.
That was hilarious that all the Colts had to give up for, I would say, the greatest player in Falcons history was a third-round pick.
It's like Deion Sanders is.
Okay, greatest quarterback in Falcons history.
Yeah, I like your thought process, though. No, I say Mike Vick.
Oh, yeah.
But I know I see what you're saying, though, Josh. Yeah.
I'll say the best pro-style quarterback that the Falcons have had.
Mm-hmm. And he's good. Believe it or not, he's going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if people are ready for that talk yet. He's unfortunately going. And he's like I'm just in the middle of the pack type of guy, but I'm not at the bottom of the middle. You know, but he's got the qualities. He's a leader.
Yeah. There's one thing that's going to haunt that guy, though, and it's that 28-3. You know, follow him everywhere he goes from now on. Like in the biggest moment of his career, he fell a little bit short there. So,
And he was there to have the conversation with the media. The moment it happened, he was out there, front center. Some Baker seems to run away from. So
yeah, and you know what, too? There's no shame in losing to the greatest football player of all time. There's shame in blowing a 28-3 lead, but if you're gonna do it to anybody, at least it wasn't, the Bengals or something. You know what I mean? Like they did it to
that was
it was Tom Brady, and the Patriots. So it's I don't want to say any 28-3 lead is a justifiable loss, but it's respectable.
It's a moral victory. A moral victory.
You're playing against the greatest coach and the greatest football player of all time. Like it's okay. You're gonna get your ass handed to you from time to time when you play those guys.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of the Patriots, I haven't really last year they went on a shopping spree or a spending spree, whatever you want to call it, and they added a lot of pieces.
They haven't done anything exciting.
Exactly.
It's interesting though. The teams that do the less exciting things are usually the team that always are winning because they focus on, instead of buying some ice cream, we're going to buy water, stuff we need to survive with. So.
And you know what else too? That team went 10-7, and I tell you what, if they're not making moves, that means Bill Belichick likes what he sees, and that's scary. If we're going into a season with Bill Belichick liking what he sees again. And, he's got a guy that he really believes can be the next, quarterback for this franchise. Man, they might be right back on top again.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know which is the easiest division. Probably
the South.
Yeah, I would say probably the South because all you have is the Colts and the Titans. That's it.
Two good teams, but Houston and Jacksonville are trash.
Right. I mean, when you look at the AFC North, Baltimore's going to be back. Pittsburgh, they're always a wild card. We'll see what they get out of Mitch Trubisky. Cincinnati just went to the Super Bowl, and now we have Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, this division's going to be a buzzsaw too.
And you notice that we haven't mentioned NFC teams yet, right? Something weird is starting to happen.
I was just thinking about that. And
Josh, I don't know if you're old enough for this comparison, but Jay, I know you'll appreciate this. The AFC is turning into what the Western Conference used to be in basketball.
Yes, that is part dead on.
It is all of the talent is there. You know that like the Super Bowl winning team's probably going to come from that side, in the future. So it feels real similar to that. It's like the league is just so heavily in favor of one side right now. It's strange.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why everybody's going to the AFC. Like,
I'm doing some investigating on it, but it is. I don't know. Like, is it better GMs, more progressive GMs in the AFC? I don't know, but I'm definitely doing some background research on this because this is fascinating.
It's so strange because, you look at Deshaun Watson. Maybe that's a bad example because we were the only AFC team he was looking at least from what I've heard in reports. Although apparently 13 teams were interested in him at one point.
Anonymous teams.
But
no, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
But still, it's just like everybody is going to the AFC. I don't get it. But here's my thing. Whoever gets out of the AFC, are they going to have I'm trying to think, are they going to have too much wear and tear already to be
going through the AFC playoffs and all that?
Yeah.
It's the new SDC.
That's an interesting point. Like if you have to wear yourself thin for 3 games in the postseason going through these AFC teams and one great quarterback after the other, you might get to the Super Bowl and be spent.
Right.
That's a really good point, Josh.
The AFC conference game might be this new Super Bowl.
It might be. A lot of people said that this year, that Kansas City Buffalo, or that could have been,
Yeah.
But, it's going to be interesting. Let me ask you guys this too. Do you think this had anything to do with Tom Brady coming back out of retirement? when he saw all of these guys are going to the AFC, and he's like, "Look, it's me and Rodgers, and that's it."
Yeah,
You think
100%. I think that was a huge factor.
Yeah, I could see the schematics of his. This is the real reason why I'm coming to this team in the NFC. I could see that definitely being his reason for doing it. But it's still it's just a why is this happening? And this has been happening, I would say, for like what 2-3 years now, where we started to see the new movement of the AFC starting to take form. So
Yeah, we do need to give credit where credit's due, though. Super Bowl winners still did come from the NFC last year, so you do still got the Rams over there. And but yeah, like in terms of that NFC South now, Matt Ryan's gone. New Orleans, what are they gonna? They're doing the Jameis Winston experiment again.
right.
In Carolina, I mean, they're not scaring anybody. They were 5-12 last year. So yeah, I mean, Brady's going to waltz through that division.
He is, unfortunately. Him and the Rams, they're gonna be on track for another NFC showdown. But that's about it, man. It's no middle ground teams there. It's just
Well, I guess you could, depending on what San Francisco does with Jimmy G.
That's the thing. What are they going to do? They're kind of in limbo right now. They're one of those teams that like they could be one that you pick to win the division, or they could be one that you pick to have a really bad year.
Trey Lance, if he develops the way they anticipated, then that throws that out the window.
That's the problem, though. Is all the reports I've heard is he's not coming along like I had hoped so. Which is unfortunate because I mean they took him third pick, right?
Yep, number
like
3.
Buying a new car and the transmission going out already.
Yeah,
San Francisco trade all that draft capital to Miami to move up to number 3 to take Trey Lance.
Yeah, and you know what? That's part of the reason why Miami had all those picks that they could move to get the Tyreek. That's kind of interesting how the dots kind of connected there, and it came.
Yeah.
I do want to focus on one team though, and I'm gonna pat myself. I'm gonna take this time as to self-gloat and just pat myself on the back because I called this, and I called this move actually a little over a year now. But what I'm worried about is the money. Where are we getting this money from? How is this money going to impact our salary cap? Because that's a lot of guaranteed money. And I'm not the smartest man in the room and a mathematician, but I would think if you're going to give, let's say, $40 million this season, that subtracts from the salary cap if I'm not understanding correctly. So we need other moves to be made too. We need our defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you are talking about Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's got the most guaranteed money ever.
Yeah, $230 million.
Wow. Yeah. And he's probably gonna be suspended this year. Let's be real. Hopefully, he'll get 6 games. I'm thinking, but they'll probably make an example, suspend him for the season. So we'll just have one season with Brissett, which we can still win with him. We can 9-7 it.
Yeah, I don't think that he'll be out for the year. Maybe 8 games, but I think
4.
They're going to look at last season and they're going to use that kind of as an excuse to say, "Look,
time served."
Yeah, it's time served. They're going to
hopefully.
I think they're going to consider that like, hey, he's already sat out a year, So yeah, I'm looking more in like the 4 to 6 range is what I would predict.
Someone also said, it was one of these analysts. They said that the way that the contract is structured, where there's actually not going to be a big massive hit this year because of the potential of him being suspended. But the league is aware of that because we have a lot of Ivy Leaguers in front office. So they like, you're not that slick, Browns. Okay, we may not suspend him this season, but once we found out what's going on with all 22 of those allegations, then we may hand our decision down because of the way the contract is laid out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's this whole thing is such a touchy subject because, like, some Browns fans denounced their fandom to this team as soon as we made this trade because of the sexual allegations, which I don't want to get into that whole thing too much, but I will say this. I don't like that it's a 6-game suspension for any type of sexual allegation or domestic violence. I personally think it should be a full season suspension. I really do, because
I think if he was found guilty of the criminal charges, Josh, then yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But since the grand jury didn't find enough to indict him on any of those 22 charges, that makes suspending him for a year a little more severe,
Totally agree.
But yeah, I mean, let's be honest though. If he's guilty of even one of these allegations, like by all means, the guy deserves to be suspended for a year. Yeah, I think that was your point, right, Josh? It's like if any of this is true at all, like then he really needs to be suspended longer than 6 games. I 100% agree with that.
Right. I'm also just saying in general, it feels like when it comes to this type of stuff, it's just like, hey, here's a 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
I would like
saying that, and the problem is too is that Goodell's got all the power in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's always an arbitrary number that they throw out, and it's like they give guys convicted of, like you said, domestic violence 2 to 4 game suspensions, and then a guy like Josh Gordon in the comments gets suspended for a whole year for smoking marijuana.
Yeah, or Calvin Ridley, who was gambling on the damn Atlanta Falcons. What a moron! He gets the whole year.
Yep. It's like what do they really value? Obviously they don't care too much about what they're saying they believe in, if they're not. That's it right there too. It's
that's exactly what they value. And that's unfortunate. It's like it for one, it paints a picture with Roger Goodell as to what's important to you morally. What are you willing to be cool with versus what are you not okay with? It's kind of weird.
He picks and chooses.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of hypocritical. Like some of the things that he comes out and says, and then the suspensions he hands out don't align with the words that are coming out of his mouth. It's
concussion protocol. I'm okay with that, but then it's costing us money, so let's give him an extra game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I'm really glad that we got Jacoby Brissett in town because I think as backups go in the NFL, he's about as good as a backup as you can get.
Yeah.
So I think that we'll be in okay hands. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. We still have to wait and see.
They also made another move that went under the radar. Jakeem Grant. We haven't had a successful special teams guy probably since Josh Cribbs, right? This move right here is what's going to soar up that special teams because it's like we always just throw a guy back there and get about 8 yards and no good starting position. But Jakeem Grant was one of the best return guys in the NFL. And the fact that we have him, he's probably one of those gadget guys. Stefanski loves running those gadget plays. So I think that was a nice move that went under the radar.
Yeah, I agree. I think special teams is an area that definitely needs a lot of work. So that was good that they addressed that need at returner. And yeah, you're right. They need a true punt returner and kick returner because a lot of these guys they put back there are like people who have the right skill set, but they're not natural returners. They just not everybody is cut out to catch kickoffs and punts. It's a different kind of ball to catch. So yeah, it's good to have a guy that is proven that he's done. He's already done it. You're right. He's already one of the best in the game. So yeah, it's a big move. You're right. It's good that we got him, but we definitely have other needs too in terms of the kicking game that need to be addressed still too.
Absolutely, like a punter and a field goal kicker. I hope we focus on the draft with that.
Yeah, I could see us doing what the Bengals did and maybe 5th or 6th rounder getting a good kicker.
We need to because this is played out. Like it's so many games that come down to that final kick, and what happens to us? We lose those.
So Mike Ellis says, I don't know if you have already talked about this, but do you think OBJ will return? And what are the chances of trying to get Juice back?
Good question.
I think Juice is more of a realistic expectation. Packers need OBJ more than ever now.
Yeah.
Rams made it clear that they want him back, but they just got one of the top tier receivers, one that I was hoping we could target. And it looked like the Rams don't really have no much room for OBJ to bring him back. So,
Right.
Who knows what the Packers going to do, but I think bringing Juice back, Juice will flourish under this new style.
Yeah. We need a number one receiver too, because I like Amari Cooper, but I don't know if he can be a number one wide receiver.
Yeah, he's better off as a two. I agree with you there, Josh. I think that there's good chance that OBJ is interested in coming back. It's a matter of is the interest mutual. But yeah, John Johnson was on Instagram Live last night, and he said OBJ is coming back. He said you didn't hear it from me though.
That would be nice though.
There's people that obviously the people on the team want him back. I think that he has kind of vindicated himself and showing that once he got with a good quarterback in Matt Stafford, he did great things, and he was on the way to becoming the Super Bowl MVP that game before he got hurt again.
Check this out.
I think there's a good chance that maybe I think that they really want to find out how bad that injury is and if he's going to even be able to start at the beginning of the year. So
if they pulled that off, Andrew Berry, because I really want to put this to perspective, right? He gets out of OBJ's contract when he released him, and then it was picked up, right? And bring the same guy back, and then you were able to restructure his deal. Hey,
right.
Bravo. Bravo.
I would love it. And in terms of bringing Jarvis back, I think if OBJ does come back, Jarvis staying is way more likely because those two they're kind of a package deal, like they want to play together, always. So yeah,
Watson.
I think if one of them returns, both of them return, or unfortunately, I don't know if either of them will be here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a really good question. I think that OBJ is definitely interested. The Browns are definitely interested, but I think it's going to come down to how healthy is he, and if he's healthy, do we have the funds? Do we want to allocate that amount of money to pay him? So
yeah. And the other thing too is like, if we bring both of them back, where does that leave like Donovan Peoples-Jones? Where does that leave Anthony Schwartz? Where does that leave? You know what I mean?
They under contract. Hey, we need room on special teams.
It's a passing league now. You need 5 wide receivers,
That's true.
I think you keep 5 wide receivers on the roster. Those guys are the 4th and 5th receivers. And to be quite honest with you, DPJ hasn't really done anything to prove himself as a 1 or a 2 receiver. He is a 3 or a 4 in this league. In terms of production, he just hasn't produced those kind of numbers yet. And
late bloomer.
Targets too, it's not like he wasn't getting targeted. So
late bloomer, he need time to develop. Wide receivers, it's a longer process for them. Learning to run routes the proper way and timing, and hopefully he'll get it together soon. But
the problem is he's a late.
I'm going with Juice.
Yeah, DPJ is a real late bloomer because he never bloomed at Michigan. That was the story on him the whole time. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Never had a 100-yard receiving game at Michigan, not one.
Ah, really? Wow.
He's
run a 4.3.
Been a guy that had all the talent in the world, but just it hasn't clicked for him yet. And that's kind of been the story with his time with the Browns now too. He has the ability. He's a super talented guy. But yeah, you're right. Wide receivers, they do take a little bit longer. So we'll see. But I don't think that you want to go into this year with DPJ being your 1 or your 2.
No.
I wouldn't mind converting him to cornerback.
It's interesting.
Something to think about. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't think he's fast enough to be a quarterback.
Run a 4.3.
Yeah.
Unofficial. I think official. He was like a 4.4, 4.43, 4.44 or something at the combine.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about like some of the bigger moves, and we touched on the Chargers earlier, but we didn't really talk about them adding Khalil Mack to go with Joey Bosa. I mean, come on.
If they stay healthy, which is a big if,
that's crazy.
That's going to be crazy.
That really is.
The story on Bosa is he can't stay on the field. He's made of glass. and Khalil Mack is on the wrong side of 30. You know, he's getting older.
Yes.
And
He looked
so,
kind of chunky too. Like he,
yeah,
I don't know, if it's the Chicago pizza.
this is one that could go either way. If both those guys stay healthy all year, they'll be dangerous. But it
Yes,
could
they
be
will.
another. It could be another one of them stories where one of them's always hurt. You know.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But yeah, that's a big move they made.
Maybe it was the deep dish pizza, Jay.
I'm thinking 3 of them too.
But seriously, the NFL is the league that never sleeps. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next hour we get some big move again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either at this stage. This is something's happening every single minute.
I mean,
So
if you think back to the Tyreek Hill situation yesterday, it was just announced like, okay, Tyreek wants a trade. And then it was like maybe an hour later, oh, he's going to Miami.
Yeah, things happen really fast.
it's a trend, and I wonder if you guys feel the same way. Okay, we know in NBA that's player centric style of sports where the player gets what they want. They get their demands. I want to be traded here. I want to be traded there. In football, what I'm starting to notice is instead of coming out and say, hey, I want to be traded here, I want to be traded there, the game plan that Baker's running, I want more money. I want my money now. I'm holding out. So now teams is starting to hurry up and expedite getting those players out because they've requested more money versus requesting a trade. So it seems like it's a new strategy that a lot of these players are starting to develop on.
Yeah, I mean, this was something that used to be unheard of, players demanding trades in the NFL. But that's starting to happen. Pat McAfee said it on his show yesterday, though, like, you be who you can afford to be. You're not good enough to demand a trade. Don't demand a friggin' trade,
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, yeah. Like, you have to understand what your value is. And the fact of the matter is we're not getting many good offers for him because he's not that valuable. So, yeah, it's interesting. It seems to be moving a little bit more in that direction where, like, basketball players kind of dictate their own terms. But with the college game, too, especially, I mean, now it's like if 5-star recruit, goes to Georgia and he's not starting by his sophomore year, he transfers. Or, a guy from South Carolina, he's not starting by his sophomore year, he transfers to Ohio State.
Transfer portals.
Transfer portal, like every player is like, it's almost part of the college experience now. It's like, where did you start and where did you end your career in college? And so it's a trend in football. It's interesting to see, but I think that when it's a league where nothing is really guaranteed, you see players get hurt and then their contracts disappear. Good for them, good for the players for having a little bit more power.
Yeah. So you brought up a bunch of college sports, so I think that's a good time to make the transition because the Sweet 16 is starting tonight. We got Villanova is playing Michigan. Gonzaga is playing Arkansas. Duke is playing Texas Tech. I think those are the only matchups happening tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Houston, Arizona. Yeah.
Houston, Arizona.
Oh, that's going to really be good.
Oh, okay. I could see Arkansas pulling off the upset of Gonzaga. I really could.
I can too.
I think Arkansas is that good that they can do it.
I still think Gonzaga wins this one. I just don't trust SEC basketball yet. But yeah, they've had a really great year. I think they're definitely capable. It is a 9.5-point spread currently. That's the biggest spread out of all of them. So that's the most lopsided affair. Michigan's 5-point underdogs. Texas Tech is actually a 1-point favorite right now against Duke. And then Arizona is 1.5-point favorites at Houston.
Oh, that's it. Wow. Hey, what do you guys? What's your take on Chet Holmgren? Because now people start to say this is the second coming of Durant. I just don't see that at all.
Remind me what team he plays for?
For Gonzaga. So he's like a 7'4" wingspan.
He's a double machine. Sees the court.
Kind of skinny.
Yeah, real skinny like Durant. That's part of the comparisons too. But for a guy of his size, he's a very athletic player. He could stretch the floor, like you said. He can shoot. So yeah, I think he's the real deal. I think he's the number one prospect in this.
Really?
This class.
Okay.
Yeah, but you never know. You know, with guys with that build, it's like it could go either way. For
Look at
Durant,
Zion.
yeah, right. It's gone the other way for him. So it'll be really interesting to see. But I think he's legit. But Gonzaga, you know, they're one of those teams that they always like have a crazy good record in the regular season, and then they fall short when it comes time to it.
And they get pushed around.
Right.
Yeah, I like Arkansas to cover tonight, but I think Gonzaga wins a close one.
Yeah. I think part of the reason why like Gonzaga does this, where they have like a great regular season and then they fall flat in the tournament, is because they don't get great competition in the conference they're in. Like
they don't play anybody
other than occasionally St. Mary's, like giving them a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Who else really challenges them?
That's true.
That right there, Josh, is why I'm kind of a little bit softer on Arkansas, because I just didn't see the level of competition throughout the year as high for them. But yeah, you're right, 100%.
If this tournament has taught us anything, this is the year of upsets. And I've never seen so many double-digit seeds upset these top seed teams. And it's just happening frequently now.
Right. If I'm doing my math right, we have 4 double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16. You got number 11 Michigan, your alma mater,
and they might win tonight.
No, I don't think that. I hate to say this, Brian, but I'm picking the Wildcats of Villanova to.
I picked Tennessee to win last game, so you're not hurting my feelings. I think we've had a good run. We've got the talent, but we're a very young team. So yeah, I like Villanova in this one. If I was betting on it, Josh, I would take Nova. But I think that they are more capable of the upset than Arkansas over Gonzaga, in my opinion.
See, here's my thing. Villanova is not going to beat themselves. You have to, when you play Villanova, you have to play your best brand of basketball.
Yeah.
So a Jay Wright coach team is not going to go out and commit like 20 turnovers in a game. They're not going to commit silly fouls.
No, and those guys are tough as hell too. Like, not a lot of Nova teams are known as like tough teams. This team's tough. Like
Jay Wright always had them Pat Riley suits.
Yeah,
that boy's the cleanest man in basketball.
Colin Gillespie, he's awesome. He's playing great. You know, they've got great guard play. You know, that's an area that Michigan's kind of lacking right now. So it'll be interesting. Hunter Dickinson has carried this team, and we'll see if he can carry them one more game. But I tell you what, 5 straight Sweet 16, so it's no surprise that they made it this far. You know, they've done it year in and year out.
The matchup I really, really want to see, though, in the Final Four, looking way ahead, we could possibly get Duke against UNC in the Final Four. If Duke wins tonight and then UNC beats UCLA and then they both win their Elite Eight matchups,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I would think about that for a second. Duke, UNC for a chance to play in the national championship.
Yeah, it just throws out the hope of parity. Like all the little teams, St. Mary's and
St. Peter's this year.
But you know, I not because I've picked them to win my bracket with Duke. I do want them to go, but it just seemed like UNC they're playing with house money right now because they could have lost easily last game. And
they were a bubble team too, like Michigan. We both were teams that they were. You know, we were getting NIT chants from opposing crowds. You know, we both could have easily been put into the NIT, but made the tournament. And you're right, though. They are here and they are loud. You know, they're not going anywhere.
Yes, they is.
But come on, you're telling me you wouldn't want to see Duke UNC in the Final Four? I would love that.
I would love that
in college basketball.
I would be.
Mine's for selfish reasons, though. Nah, I need Duke to win.
I gotta be honest.
Hey,
I gotta be honest. I've always been a Michigan guy through and through. Like for every sport, I'm not one of the guys that has a different college football team and a different basketball team. But in that rivalry, I've always been a UNC fan. I've always because I'm a
colors.
I'm a Michael Jordan. You know, I grew up during the Bulls' dominance in the 90s, you know, like so that Michael Jordan baby blue UNC, like I just love everything about that.
I just realized I think we're kind of using the UNC style blue today.
A little bit.
The subliminal, stay woke.
Yeah.
And then when you play at Duke, how the fans every time you take the ball, it's just a vibe. Boo.
There you go. There you go. Because we brought that up, I changed it. You're welcome.
But it's been a fascinating tournament, though. It has. So we need to get our picks on the record since we're so rapidly in the Sweet 16 now. Who's going to when it's all said and done? Who's cutting the nets down?
Arizona.
I'm sticking with Kansas. I picked Kansas before the tournament.
They're secretly good. I'm gonna go with Duke. I think Coach K's swan song.
Yeah,
it's only in with him cutting the nets down, but Kansas is talented.
Let me tell you why I like Kansas because I think you're right. I think Duke's a better team, but they've got Providence. They're the Friar. They've got a good team. I'm not writing them off, but they've got Providence. And then after that, in the Elite Eight, they've got the winner of Iowa State and Miami. So,
that's it. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Go to the Final Four, and then in the Final Four, they're looking at either Arizona, Houston, Michigan, or Nova. So I think they've got the easiest path to the championship.
I get that,
and that was what I saw before the tournament too, and that's why I picked them. Because James asked me, "Do you think they're the best team in the tournament?" And I said no. But I think they're going to win the tournament. And it's a little bit off of, Josh, what you were saying about the AFC. You think teams are going to be tired by the time they get to the Super Bowl. I think that's going to be the case for teams like Duke and UNC who are in a little bit tougher brackets. They're going through it on their way to the finals, and Kansas is going to get there fresh, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the winner of Michigan-Arizona plays the winner of Michigan-Villanova. Excuse me, plays the winner of
Houston and Arizona. Yeah.
Arizona and Houston. My bad.
Yeah.
Which I'd be fine with an Arizona-Michigan matchup or Houston-Michigan. But I just think
Houston-Michigan happens in the tournament a lot. I could think of 2 Houston versus Michigan matchups in the last 8 years. So, yeah, they've got a little bit of history there. So that would be a good one to see again.
Just to go back to the Kansas stuff, Kansas definitely. I see the talent. I bet on that game when they played Creighton, but they almost lost that game.
They did. You're right.
They had a couple of referee calls away from potentially losing it. So
are you saying?
I don't know.
Are you saying there's ref ball?
Man, it's. I don't want to be that guy, but it really feels. It feels like something's up, man, and I'm tired of it being 2 minutes left. Now they want to go to the board on every single play, and it just feels like it's taking an hour for the last 2 minutes of a game now, man.
Not only that, these halftimes have been so
Yeah,
but no, you're like referee play. Well, in a way, they play. They play their own game.
Oh yeah. Especially in college.
yeah. But in the college basketball game specifically, refereeing is dreadful. And I can't remember the technical call, which player it was on, but the dunk, he went up for a dunk. And, he barely hung on the rim. He was just, his momentum would have carried him, so he's just kind of coming back. They teed him up. It was like the most ridiculous technical I've ever seen in a tournament game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're just not that good as part of the problem. I don't know if it's as much as referees wanting one team to win over the other as it is that they just stink. And they're not
both.
They're just not consistent. And that's the best thing you can ask for from a ref is just be consistent. Call the same fouls on us that you call on them and, make the playing field level.
God, it sounds like we're talking about the Super Bowl here.
Same old narrative.
Because we had the same goddamn conversation.
Yeah.
After Super Bowl 56.
We find ourselves talking about this quite a lot now.
Yes.
It's
Too
going to
much.
be interesting to see because, like, a lot of the referees, like the famous referees in the NFL, are getting older and retiring. You know, like a lot of notable referees have retired. Like, I wonder what the young referee scene looks like. Like, I don't know about any referee universities or anything like that where they're like grooming people to be good refs. Like, I think that's part of the problem is like, where do they find these guys? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to become a ref, and I'm a big sports fan. I know how to ref at the YMCA down the street, but like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get into that?
Yeah, they find you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They meet you at a gas station on the freeway. They hand you an envelope and say, you're going to start reffing.
Yeah, or somebody's kid plays on the YMCA game, and the dad is part owner for a team somewhere, you know, and it's, hey, you want a ref? Sure. Yeah, it's like, where do they get these people, for one? And
they do an investigation.
There's no accountability, Jason, and that's what bothers me is that, like, these guys make these ridiculous calls, and then they kind of own up to it after, like, oh yeah, I guess we see that a little bit different now, and blah blah. But like, they're not suspending referees, you know,
right? Fining them.
They're
Nothing.
not fining them.
No.
Like, when players do this kind of stuff, they're getting fined and they're getting suspended.
Yeah.
So.
You even mentioned something.
It also bothers me too, like when the referees call something in the game, and then the league releases a statement like 2 days after, like, "Oh wait, this was the wrong call." Like,
like, but you don't change the outcome of the game, though. Like,
it's
like, rub it in their face.
It's like, okay. On one hand, it's like, okay, I appreciate you making this statement, but on the other hand, what the hell is the point?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's 2 days. It's like it's 2 days after the game. Who gives a shit now?
Yeah.
Just like when they have to tell Tony when they ask him for his expertise on a call, it's like, who the hell even cares? It doesn't matter. Why are we doing this?
Right. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the referee bullshit that's going on. It's in every league too. Baseball's no better, you know. Baseball's back.
They're really terrible with it.
Umpiring and everything. So it's just like, we have the technology now, like, to streamline things and make things more effective. Why do we still need 5 referees on the basketball court? You know, I feel like 1 or 2 can get the job done now with a guy that's like sitting at the scoring table and he's like a side judge, you know. And
yeah,
it is difficult though. I'm not gonna cap on that. It's not.
I will say though, like, in a crucial spot, you may need like multiple referees, because if there's a foul, the referee on the opposite end of the court may not be able to see it.
Right, but I'm saying, like, with all the different camera angles and drones, like, you could have a ref sitting at the scorer's table or in a luxury box somewhere watching 8 different screens at every angle, you know what I mean? And he sees everything better than the people on the court.
Yeah, I get that.
So, and you see leagues like the XFL doing this with the Sky Judge. And it's like, if it works, like, we've seen it done. And
I miss that stuff. I miss them.
And it's like, why aren't we trying anything at least? That's part of the problem, is we have the same discussion every year about referees and nothing ever changes, and they don't try anything new.
Right.
So it's like, it's not going to get any better. If nothing changes, nothing changes, you know.
It's hard not to think it's not fixed because of that. Yeah.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does. So we have about 10 minutes left in today's episode. And in those last 10 minutes, I think these next 2 games for the Cleveland Cavaliers are make or break.
I agree, Josh.
I wrote an article about this for Fanside. Bryan, I sent it to you. Jason, I will send it to you after the show.
Cool.
But right now, Cleveland, Chicago, and Toronto, if you look at the Eastern Conference standings, the 3 of them are pretty much in a virtual tie for 5th through 7th place in the Eastern Conference. And we know that if you're in the top 6 of the East of the conference standings, East and West, you go straight to the playoffs.
Yep.
If you're in that 7 to 10 range, you go to the play-in tournament, where it could be, if Darius Garland, for example, has a bad night shooting, Cavaliers could be done.
Yep.
Whereas if you make the playoffs, okay, you have a bad game 1. That's okay. You still have minimum 3 more games to get right. So being that the Cavs, Raptors, and Bulls are in, like I said, a virtual tie, Cleveland plays Toronto tonight in Toronto.
As much win.
And then we play Chicago here in Cleveland on Saturday.
Yeah, these are huge games.
Yeah, we've got to win both.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
At least one of two. At least one of the two. But you want to win both of these games. And this is where you find out, what this team really is. They've proven themselves this year to be a lot more than we thought they were going to be. But are they as good as the hype is now? Because now they got all the hype around them. Now they're a sexy pick now. They're kind of like the Browns were last year. People are high on the Cavs in the NBA. It's cool. It's a small market team that came out of nowhere. It's a great story. People really love the Cavs, So this is it. This is their chance. If they win both these games, come on. Huge, massive.
This the contenders or pretenders part of the season.
Yes, sir. I mean, if we come out of this 2-0, imagine this conversation next week. We're looking at a Cavs team that's getting ready to go into the postseason and might do some damage even.
Yeah. I will say this. Right now, if the season ended today, we would be matched up with Milwaukee in the first round. I don't think Milwaukee would just steamroll us. I think we could push that series to 6 games, possibly 7.
Yeah,
but let's say we get matched up with Boston somehow in the first round. I get it. The Celtics are playing terrific basketball right now. Ime Udoka has done a great job with them.
I don't want to play Boston at all.
No?
No.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, no. I don't want to.
Tatum is playing MVP level basketball right now, too.
Yeah.
The other thing about Boston is they got off to a real poor start, too. So, they're only a game and a half out of first place after a real shit start to their year. They're really turning it on at the right time. So, I would almost rather match up against Milwaukee than I would against Boston, believe it or not.
Really?
Believe it or not.
Right, play the Bulls. I don't want to see none of those guys.
Bulls over both of them. Yeah, the Bulls over both of them.
We should tank that game.
I think Philly, Boston, Miami, those 3 teams are very, very good.
Yeah, right now we are down in the series again, down in the regular season series against Chicago 2-1. But both of those losses came in Chicago.
Right.
And interestingly, I looked at the point margins. Yeah, they've all been by double digits, but the margin of victory keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
You're right.
And so my thinking is when we play them on Saturday, if that trend continues, that game's going to come right down to the final minute. So the Cavs, if they want to win that game, they can't commit they can't commit silly fouls. They got to value every possession. Yeah. These next 2 games are playoff eliminator type games, I would say.
Right.
I'm more scared of this Toronto game, to be honest with you. The Bulls are 3 out of their last 10, or 3 wins out of their last 10 games. They're kind of in a rough patch. Toronto is 6-4, which is fine. But yeah, I think that they're kind of in a rough patch right now. We're matching up against them at the right time, I think.
So let's be real.
I think we win the game against Chicago.
In order for us to consider a real playoff team, we have to go through these growing pains right now. So we need these games.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there's another team that's coming for everybody from the bottom on up, and that's
no, I know who you're talking about.
The frauds.
We only have 1 minute left, so we're not going to
go overtime. Who cares?
We're not going to get too much into that. We want to save some of the Kyrie talk for next show. But But yeah, I think the Nets are coming for everybody. Now that they're going to be getting Kyrie back full time. Miami had a rough night last night. We saw it. Yeah, did you guys see Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler about ready to fight each other yesterday?
I heard it's getting chippy, very chippy.
Things aren't very sweet for the number 1 team in the East right now.
Yeah. You know how we were talking about earlier how the AFC is going to be a gauntlet and whoever comes out of there could be tired and all that? I think that could be the same problem in the Eastern Conference. There's not just a series where it's like, oh, we're going to sweep this series. I
Mhm.
don't see that. Whereas in the Western Conference,
The West is very top heavy.
yeah. I mean,
Hey, Minnesota Timberwolves starting to become a team on a prowl.
yeah.
Watch out for them.
Memphis
Yeah.
is legit. John Morant's legit.
You
Mhm.
see what the Grizzlies did last night without Jaw?
I know.
Man,
They're huge. They've arrived.
Yeah.
And then Memphis and Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
So I've heard rumblings that there could be potential expansion in the near future with the NBA, possibly adding Vegas and Seattle, which obviously both of them would be Western Conference teams. So I'm wondering if that were to happen, possibly Memphis and Minnesota would be moved to the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's just.
You
I think it takes away from the just like the play-in, right? It takes away from the. I don't know. It's like everybody gets a trophy type of move because it's like you want to expand it, but now we're gonna add extra playoff roster spot. Like I don't know about that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with expansion. I've been advocating for Seattle to get an NBA team because I got extremely upset when that whole ordeal went down of Howard Schultz selling the team to the Oklahoma City group and them saying, yep, our plan is to keep the team in Seattle. Bullshit. No, you were going to move them to Oklahoma City the whole time, and you know it.
They had their fingers crossed.
Yeah. But I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I have a lifetime goal actually to see a game at all 30 NBA teams' arenas. Have I told you about that?
You have. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it next week, because we've already went 2 minutes past the hour mark.
Oh, we sure did. Yeah. I can't wait to hear it next week.
All right. We can continue this NBA expansion talk next week.
Yeah, we got to stick to the schedule a little bit today. I got some other stuff going on. So.
All right.
Good conversation, guys.
No, good talk today. We had no shortage of things to talk about. You guys were great, and we will see you next Thursday, same time, same place.
Yep. Thank you for.
Good night now.
Yeah. Good night, Canada.
See you guys.